Hello and welcome. My name is Laolu Akonde and you are on to Inside Sources. But first, here is my take for the week. As we battle some of the contending issues facing us as a people, issues like insecurity and the economic hardship in the land, courageous leadership at the very top is vital. Our leaders must be bold enough to fire appointed public officials who don't deliver on their KPIs. That's the key performance indicators. We have seen in this country how the lack of consequences and impunity have created new problems and made old ones worse. For example, we have seen how we have been fighting insecurity for decades now. And when it seems that we've solved it at one point, it reappears in another form. There have been claims of collusion and corruption in certain agencies. Our leaders ought not to be shy to thoroughly investigate these things and discover what is really happening, and if necessary, punish those responsible for the collusion and corruption if it is established. How is it possible that more than half of the oil lifted in Nigeria, for instance, is being stolen and no one has been caught or punished for several years? As a nation, we are even struggling with OPEC quota. In June last year, OPEC cut Nigeria's output target for 2024, that is for this year. It was cut to 1.3 million barrels per day, from 1.7 million barrels per day, because for years as a nation we have failed to meet the targets. A president or a governor or an elected official in the federal or state government is no use in the long run if he or she fails to use the big stick against those holding our commonwealth down. Our leaders must be bold enough, honest and forthright to draw a line in the sand on the issues of corruption and any issue that is causing our people untold hardship, especially where people are underperforming. A leader ought to say, get out. Corruption is corrosive. A former president said, if we don't kill it, it will kill us. In 2015, many Nigerians thought the former president whose campaigns spearheaded the change narrative would actually bring the change. I served under the administration. But that has not happened. 8 years after, our leaders who made those promises are still grappling at the straws. Corruption is still pervasive. Economy is biting. Insecurity relentless. What we seem to lack is the set of bold leadership in executive, legislature, and the judiciary who can look at the problems of Nigeria eyeball to eyeball and say no more. But Nigerians have given the APC, who made those promises of change in 2015, another chance. Now, under a new president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who will have spent 9 months in office at the end of this month. The burden that President Tinubu is carrying is heavier than that of President Buhari. And it is important this is said because now President Tinubu is not just carrying the burden of promise, but is carrying the burden of truncated hope. And good thing, he has rightly named his agenda Renewed Hope. Nigerians have placed so much expectations on the promises, and now they are wondering how come they believe the lie. And so it is up to President Tinubu to show that those promises made in 2015 were no lies. And that is why we are appealing to him today and all those in authority that the government, whether it be executive, judiciary, or legislator, it's important to apply courage and boldness. The situation we are facing today is worrying, but many of us still hope and pray that our leaders can summon the required courage to surmount the conditions and to deal with the contradictions, especially in agencies such as CBN and NNPC, two of the most critical institutions that must be thoroughly reformed if our economy is to come out of what seems to be a doldrum. The 1999 Constitution, as amended, may have defects, but it has already invested enough powers in the president and the governors to enable those in the offices to act with courage, especially the president. There is still enough time. We still have 3 years to go for this tenure. The question is, how courageous will we say this our current set of leaders are at the end of the day? That's the take for this week, and Inside Sources will be right back. Welcome back. Today we have yet another very special guest, one of the more revered former Inspector General of the Nigerian Police, Dr. Solomon Arase, is joining us in Inside Sources to continue the conversation on the future of Nigeria. Dr. Solomon Arase, you are welcome to Inside Sources.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
So we start the discussion about the future of this country by me asking a very simple question. That as things are today, if you look at where we are today as a nation, do you think we are on track to head into that great Nigeria that many of us, as a matter of fact, all of us dream of? Are we on track as of today?
Well, I am an optimist. A lot of countries, around the world have gone through what we are going through today, and they've been able to, go through it, successfully. I am hopeful that with good governance, we should be able to mitigate most of the challenges that we have. The challenges are a lot of multiplicity of issues we are dealing with here. You are looking at the security, you are looking at the economy, you are looking at issues of relationship, between the subnational groups, and all those stuff. They are quite enormous. Nigeria is a very large country, and so the challenges that we face, if you want to take it in the context of an African country,
right?
Because it's a very expansive land space we have. The issues, the large population, the issues are not clear cut. The contestation for how do we really go? There is still resonating here and there. But I think we have to be very optimistic. We have to be hopeful that we should be able to get it right. Because if we get it right, it will be an inspiration to other African countries that Nigeria has been able to get it right.
So yeah, and thank you for that opening. So to just dig further, what do you think should be our priorities, so that we can be that good example to other African countries? As a matter of fact, there are many who even say that Nigeria is the hope of the black people. So what are those things, or in your view, maybe what are the top 2 things that we need to get right?
Security and the economy. Those are very, very important. For security, when you're talking about security in this country, you can geolocate it. Look at the Northeast, where you have is the epicenter of terrorism in the past 11, 12 years.
Right.
By the time you come down, to the other regions, you also discover that, there are flashes of issues here and there. You see, when you have a country where there are no consequences for crime, it means you are allowing crime to fester, I think that is exactly where I think we should really take a lot of concerns. Yeah, the military and the police, yes, they've been doing well, arresting people, parading them, and all those stuff. But we want to see more prosecution. Prosecution is a deterrent. If somebody commits a crime, he's arrested, you process the person through our criminal justice system, and he's put, in the correctional centers. It's a deterrent to others who want to, go that route. But when you have a country where, if you look at the number of arrests we have made since, okay, let's just take the past 8 years. If you still look at the number of arrests we've made, it's quite huge, but it's not commensurate with the prosecution. And that is a very big problem. Our crime rates, if you look at it, if you want to take a comparative study of our crime rates in Nigeria, it's not as high as some other areas. But the good thing about the other areas, there are two things. Either they are able to prevent it, or if you do it, they catch you and they punish you. So I think that one is very, very important for us. Then you see, you cannot attract investment into a country where there is, seemingly disorder. People will be always be scared, and that is why you see all these, advisories here and there. Don't go to this state, don't go to that state. The crime we have in those areas they are saying they are not going, it's not as high as the one they have in their own countries. But the idea is that there are consequences for crime. For crime in their own countries.
Okay, so I mean, and thank you for these very important insights. Coming from somebody who has served as Inspector General of Police, this is very insightful. Now, so what do you think is responsible for a situation where, like you said, in the last 8 years, a lot of people have been arrested for all kinds of criminalities, but we don't have the commensurate prosecution, not to even talk of eventual justice. What, in your view and in your experience, former Inspector General of Police, sir, is responsible for this?
We have to jazz up our investigation, techniques. You see, when a law enforcement organization relies on extrajudicial means of extracting confession, information, you are just wasting a lot of time. Criminal investigation has evolved. It has taken the shape of a science, and it has taken the shape of an act. So I think where we should concentrate on more is making sure that our investigators, when they are investigating, they should be the investigation should be intelligence-led. The way you elicit information or facts from your suspect should not be predicated on abusing the rights of the people when you are doing that. Like, you shoot them in the leg or you slap them, they make confession, you take them to court, and when they get to court, what they start with is that, the confession that this thing that you are tendering in court was wrongfully obtained. You were obtained under duress. So you're now going to trial within trial. So if you watch what most countries are doing now, they are now involving investigative techniques, like the peace model. The peace model, where you allow the suspects to express themselves, and with time, the environment, you record them, you make sure that you treat them nicely. They will definitely give you leads and, insight into what has happened. But I give you two instances of two cases that has happened in this country where, the issue of extrajudicial means in obtaining
quote-unquote evidence.
Yes. The first was this young man who was a kidnapper, who was Evans. How many years has it taken Evans to be prosecuted? Taking close to 8 years. And the second one, you remember the offer, bank robbery?
Yes, yeah.
That one happened. And up to now, they've not been able to still, go around it. So we intend to encourage the police to do is to say, before you start, all this investigation, there must be some little intelligence leading, some pieces of evidence that you can use to interrogate, the suspect.
Right.
And if you do that, it reduces the tendencies of you. Sometimes you may not blame the investigators.
Right.
We are in a country where if anything happens, we are all agitated, as Nigerians. You want results immediately.
Right.
You want these things to be settled. So when you put them, the law enforcement officers, when you put them under such pressure, you know, the tendency for them to always want to, they want to, they want to please the government, to take the government, oh, sir, we are working, you know. Then the populace, you want to calm them down, you know, psychological reassurance. We are doing something. Can't you guys see that we are doing something? We've arrested some people, we've paraded some arms, and so people should calm down, you know. So I think that is what we should learn to. We should not be in a haste, you know, to say, give us results now. You know, but you should insist that, you know, for every crime that is committed, you know, that it is properly investigated. And when it goes to courts, that is why a lot of people, they always, you know, insist that sometimes maybe the DPP's office, you know, can be of assistance to, you know, law enforcement officers when, you know, they're handling, you know, very serious investigation. They should be able to tell them points to prove. What are the points you need to actually prove your case? Not, you know, the back and forth, then the pre-trial detentions. If you look at sometimes the pre-trial detention period, they are so lengthy, and, you know, then people, you know, the civil society organization will now be talking about, oh, you are keeping people in custody. If you go to, but that is the truth. You go to most of our, I think it was only Lagos state government during the time of Fashola and Otowore, they were able to establish a case tracking system in Lagos then, so that everybody you keep in custody, the next date of adjournment is known to both the police, the law enforcement officers, is known to the correctional service, is known to the prosecutors. So you don't have this long, you know, protracted detention issues.
Interesting. Very, very useful insight that you're bringing us. So part of the problem of investigation, you know, is the fact that, you know, people, the manner of investigation, you know, does not enhance these cases being proven in court. Absolutely. Now, but what about and this is very, very good point, sir, but what about the claim also, and quite a lot of buzz around the fact that, hey, there are also times when, especially people that are terrorists or bandits, are also ferreted out of detention by one big man, or, you know, is that part of the problem, you know, in your experience? Well, somebody says, hey, no, you should release that guy. You cannot
decountenance that. But I don't think that is, you know, is weighty enough to, you know, inform most of the troubles that we are having. Yes, sometimes, you know, okay, look at what happens when you keep people in custody for too long in prisons, or then they go in there, break the prisons. Right. I think just 2 or 3 days ago, there was a break in Imo.
Yes.
So you see that all those could be a problem too. You know, and that is why I say, you know, long custodian, you know, approach to law enforcement investigation is not beneficial. In other claims, crimes are committed, and within about 48 hours, the person is being arraigned. You know, prosecution is going on.
Right.
And you just discover that, you know, the time that they take in getting this thing done is like an accelerated hearing.
Yeah.
They get the thing done and, you know, take it out of there. So because they know that another crime will be committed anyway. You know, crime will always happen. There's nowhere where there's no crime. There's nowhere.
Absolutely.
Even the most developed countries, they still have that fear of, you know, of crime. So it's the way that we approach these things that, it is true too that the law enforcement officers, sometimes they go through such you know, pressure. But if somebody has committed an offense that, you know, when you mention it to even the person who wants to intercede, you know, he tends to pull back. You know, like, you know, cases of homicide, terrorism, cultism, and all this time, when you know that lives have been involved. You know, so,
Okay, so, and it's good to think that you are also the chairman of the Police Service Commission, and, you know, that commission has the responsibility to determine policy, organization, and administration. So there's this very important issue, and we've had some senators and some former security officials, talk about it, even in the press openly, that, Nigerian security agencies are not sufficiently kitted, and in many instances, according to them, which is in the public domain, that the bandits and the terrorists are even better kitted.
Well, if you want to look at budgetary allocations to security year in, year out, you will say that such statements are not true. It is true that once in a while, they are overwhelmed. But when you talk about that being overwhelmed too, it is those same people who go to complain that, the security people are not doing enough. The number of security people attached to them themselves are supposed to be, you see, when you have...
Which is another issue.
Yeah, which is another issue. You see, when you have a manpower profile of maybe about 500,000 police officers, you will expect that the numbers that will, go to the political elites and also stay in the office will be infinitesimal when you are talking about those ones who are in operations.
Right.
So what we have now is that most of the operational capabilities are being diminished by the number of people we give out. So we don't have enough men. Look at the land space of Nigeria; it's very expansive. And even the Nigerian armed forces,
right.
If you put their number together,
right.
then you put the number of the police together, they cannot cover all the security space we are talking about. You see, policing is determined by two things: visibility and also dominance of the security space. You must be able to do those two things. Create some visibility
and dominance.
and dominate the security space. Now, most countries that are not able to have enough manpower to satisfy this requirement of internal security management, what they usually do is that they fall back on technology, and to use the technology to aid the law enforcement officers. Right. I give you one example. You remember the Boston bombings?
Yes.
The CCTV camera that caught those guys was from a supermarket.
True.
So which means that it has come to a time in this country where an executive bill has to be sponsored to say if you are building a housing estate, if you are building a restaurant, if you are building a shopping mall, part of the conditions precedent to getting those things will be the installation of CCTV camera that will be linked to this thing. So you see, this police-public partnership has to be encouraged.
But such a bill shouldn't be just that if you are building, because it won't affect those that have been built. Just talking about the idea.
No. But if you have, for instance, you have built now, like the shopping malls,
yes,
and the housing estates,
and there's no camera there,
and there are no cameras there, you can now say no. It is imperative that you have cameras in those places. You see, there is no way physical security is being whittled down in most advanced countries. It is more of technology now. They are now escalating technology to a state where, it will complement the law enforcement. So why the government is also looking at some public space that has to be covered, putting them here and there, then they complement it with that of the private sector. That way, we'll be able to capture. It may not capture everything, but sometimes when these things they happen and you are able to have a playback, you can. You see what happens in other developed countries.
Yes.
They easily come up with the identity of the people and they start flashing it. Oh, this one is wanted. This one is wanted. Because it is the camera.
They have a profile.
They have a profile of the person, and there too. Once the profile is known, they have, a system when they put your name in there, everything about you, comes out. So all these things are things that we should start thinking about. Yes.
There are quite interesting issues to ask you around that. The first one is, so we in terms of the numbers, and I agree with you entirely that technology must play a very big role.
Yeah.
But when you consider our population also, 200 million people, we definitely have to do quite a bit of the troops. I mean, the cops on the ground, the boots on the ground. We have to do it now. Why is it so difficult for us to have enough policemen on the streets all across this country? What is the major problem for that? Because clearly, we are below the global standard in terms of number of policing.
Yes.
Why is it we have the people?
Yes.
Why is it difficult for us to have enough policemen across the place? There are a lot of ungoverned spaces where many of these crimes are perpetrated. So I wanted to ask you, sir.
Political will. The government must have the political will, to be able to bring in more, persons. Recently, we did an exercise, to bring in some recruits. That was the exercise that was carried over by the former government, the 10,000 that was left. The present government has now said they are going to bring in an additional 30,000. And when we opened the portal, we had close to 401,000, applicants. What does that mean? A lot of unemployment out there.
Yes.
So which means that, if you want to bring in more people, they are there. But you have to think about how you're going to, train them, salaries, kitting. You mentioned kitting just now. Then the people who are supposed to impact knowledge on, to train them, they will be there. I remember when the president during his campaign, he jokingly said they were going to bring in a lot of people, and what do we need to feed them? Agbado and other. People laughed. They saw it as a joke, but that is what some countries have done in the past. What they have done is that they have come in with this mass recruitment into the law enforcement of all these things. Then when they are there, they start teaching them skills. They teach them how to make a POP, some, tiles, some this and that. So if they bring them in, they train them for, to acquire those skills, they can now, give them some starting packs and make them reservists. You get the idea? Yes. So they can be called upon because they have received some training. Yes. But the idea is that they bring them, en masse into the system. And, under either the army or the police, and, they impact them with such knowledge. So I think, the president should take a look at that, his statement. Because that is the solution to what we are talking about. Yes, we should bring in more men, and train them. Even if we are not going to retain them in the police or in the army, we can use the opportunity to teach them skills. Okay, we wanted to recruit 10,000. We have 400 and something applicants.
Is it 10,000 or 20,000? 10. Okay. I think 10,000 was also recruited about a few years back.
Yes, they recruited 10, and so you discover that if 400 applied and you are taking just 10,000, it doesn't.
So who will be the person to advise Mr. President and say, look, that thing that you said is actually the solution. Let's go ahead and hire at least 100,000. Whose job is that former Inspector General of Police to tell the president, no, 20,000 is going to cut, 10,000 is not going to cut it.
Yes.
You had said that we need that kind of number.
Yes.
We have 400,000. Let's take 100,000.
Yes.
Whose job is that, sir?
Well, policy for people who formulate policies, where
the Minister of Police?
Yes, the Minister of Police Affairs is there. The Police Service Commission is there. We can always, escalate this conversation.
Well, you are the chairman of the Police Service Commission.
Okay. That is why I am reminding you that the president,
said it.
That thing he said at that time, it looks like a joke.
But
there was some solution. That is the solution. That it was deep. So, you know, we need to interrogate that more to say, sir, respected sir, this is what you said when you were campaigning. And that may be the solution to all these internal social disorders that we have. So
it's a very important point because, you know, you have spoken about visibility.
Yes.
You know, and why you are right also that technology should play a big role.
Yes.
We still need more our troops on the ground. We still need more boots on the ground.
That's true.
So this is a very important disclosure that you have given us, and I hope that, you know, Mr. President who is listening and the other guys, and I hope you're going to push it and say, no, let's encourage the president to implement,
to actualize that
thing that he said. Yeah, because it's such a big problem. You look at the population, we have people, and we are suffering from the fact that we don't have enough policemen. You know, in all these ungoverned places. So it's curious that we are not making that connection. We're not crossing that T. We're not dotting that I of hiring more people. You know, so it's a very important, because even if you look at the military, I think it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And the military, they are overstretched because in most of the areas where this insurgency and all these things have taken over, you know, they are actually leading in trying to have the pushback, you know, and so it runs across all the
agencies. So when you say political will, so what do you really mean?
The Nigerian police force since 1999 had close to 5 police reforms. Okay. And most of those police reforms, they were very profound. They were insightful. They looked at the issues. Why is the police under, you know, why are they not performing? Why are they not complementing, you know, the other law enforcement agencies when it comes? They are the main security managers that, you know, are supposed to take care of internal security management. So what has led to all these, you know, issues that we have had over the years? And they came up with there were some white papers, there were suggestions, you know, about how to mitigate, you know, the issues that they are going with. Some were short-term, some were mid-term, some were long-term. The short-term, they were just administrative instructions to, you know, restructure our policing, you know, organization and, you know, try and save them from the reputational damage that has happened. That has happened, You know, and along the line, the implementation of those policies have been haphazard. So that's why I say the political will. It is the political will to get these things done. During the Jonathan era, the Alhaji Sambo, you know, the vice president, was the one who, you know, who coordinated the reforms from his office to say, okay, those things have to be implemented. When he left, I happened to be the IG then. Yes. I took the whole documents and brought it to Professor Shibajo and say, look at the issues. This is where we are. So, you know, you have to, you know, take it forward. You know, unfortunately, it did not happen because of the power play within, you know, the system. The presidency. So, the presidency. And it was truncated. You know, so you see, the idea is that, as I said, there is no country that does not have security challenges. Or everywhere they have. Even the developed ones, you know, they are still scared of, you know, people, you know, coming into their distance to cause destruction. So, but the government, look at what happened in the US during the 9/11. You know, would you have ever thought that some 11 unarmed young men can walk into different, you know, airports in the country, seize these things, and attack the hearts of the security, you know, this thing in the country? It happened. But you see, what did they do? They came up with the Homeland Security issue. And, you know, they said, no, this will not happen again. You know, so that is where the political will comes in. So you just have to take it in your strides and security is expensive. You know, we must know that. But sometimes it is not every time you throw money at, you know, the security problems. You know, there are times when, you know, the way you conceptualize, you know, strategies can easily deal with the issues you are talking about.
Interesting. So if we are to hire the 100,000 out of the 400, do you think that government has... No, I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just, speculating, theorizing, trying to figure out whether money is a problem. So is it that we don't have enough money to hire more than 10,000, to hire as much as 100,000 in your view?
Well, I will not know because I am not in the budget and planning. You know, but the idea is that, you know, there must be that conscious will to say, look, we must get these things done, you know, and you must spend some money. There are some reforms, you know, that require the, you know, strategic managers.
Okay.
It's not about money now. It's organization. Like when you're talking about community policing, you're talking about community policing, you're talking about intelligence-led policing, you're talking about neighborhood watch like they have in Lagos and all those stuff.
Yeah.
All those things, it is you being able to identify the non-state actors that will form. Look, even if you have that 100,000 you're talking about, if the public trust is not there, if you don't bring in the people to be on the table, to buy into this thing, it will not work. The people, it is the people who see, who hear. In our local environments in those days, how was it policed? It was policed by people getting information and taking to the traditional rulers, and they were able to manage that. They were able to it's either the age group system, the Market Women Association, you know, the secret societies, and that was how they were managing this thing.
It was intelligence-led.
It was intelligence-led. So we just have to go back
to that
and win the hearts and minds of these people, especially the traditional institutions. You cannot leave them out of it. They still have that over-aching, you know, control.
I wanted us to also talk about the trust of the Nigerian people in the police, and also the welfare.
Yes.
But I guess let's start from the welfare.
Yes.
Now, what will it take to have the Nigerian police properly taken care of, with good pay, accommodation, some kind of incentive to really motivate them? What will it take?
Nothing. It's just, you know, for us to have somebody, you know, at the helm of affairs, you know, who can think outside the box, who has a fertile mind, who can, you know. You see, the welfare of the police, if you restrict it to the salaries alone, it may not be...
It won't work.
So
really,
why can't you think about things like any man who has spent some time in the system and does not have any insight about where he's going to live when he retires, becomes agitated.
Yes.
Okay. And when that agitation starts, it leads to corruption. He wants to help himself because he's now feeling
left.
Yes. So what will it cost, you know, the police management to start building two-bedroom apartments, especially for the inspectors and rank and file? Those are the ones that I call the street managers, because those guys are the ones who are actually there
on the ground.
On the ground, the rain come, sunshine. You know, even when it comes to, you know, sometimes shielding their bloods and others, they are there. They are the ones you meet at the counter. So why can't we take care of those small things for them? Then when you do that one, you now say, okay, we created the safer highways when I was the IG.
Yeah.
We dismantle the roadblocks to say that you don't keep men for long hours on the road, you know. And then along the line, they suffer some temporary insanity and they go and shoot somebody and say, accidental discharge. Put vehicular patrols. That is what is obtainable everywhere in the world. Put vehicular patrol. Buy fuel in those vehicles.
Well, they'll be mobile.
Yes, they'll be mobile. Buy fuels in the vehicle. Give them lunch packs. Treat them nicely. Give them water. And maybe reduce their working hours to about 8 hours so that they don't start making mistakes and getting agitated. Can't we also organize scholarship for their children who are bright? Can't we do that? We have police secondary schools. We have police academy. You see, there must be a way. When you do some certain things for policemen, you now have the moral latitude to go against them whenever they err.
Yeah.
And they will not err. You know, when they know that they are going to lose some privileges, if they err, they will stay straight.
Interesting.
So, you know, all these things I'm telling you, they have been tested, you know, and it worked. So we should think about all these things. The salary is good, yes. But what is the salary going to buy? Will the salary mitigate the school fees you are going to pay for their brilliant children? If they know that their children, they came in as from the ranks, and they know that someday their child is going to have a first degree and come in as an officer, don't you think you want to protect the integrity of that job?
Yes.
So these things are things we just have to think through.
So I mean, so in your good thing, you are the chairman of the PSC. Are this part of what you can make happen in your current position?
I have made it happen before when I was an IG.
Yes.
And I am also selling the ideas, you know, to the system now to say that, you know, if you are going to have a law enforcement officers that are self-respecting, that have integrity, that have integrity, that can, you know, work with a swag. You need to do some certain things for them that will make them stay, you know, on course. So you know, and the young man who is the IG now, I think he's listening. He's looking you know, around that way. That is the way for us to go.
So if you see a regular policeman on the street, you know, whose responsibility is it to ensure that he's properly dressed, he has the right shoe, his dress is well cut out? Because you see quite a bit of them, and that affects even their own dignity. How do we, you know, I'm sure it's around this kind of discussion.
Yes, you see, the idea is that when we joined the police for some 40-something years ago, when you are going to post out men to go to their various beats, it was the duty of the station officer or the DPO to parade those men first. Then look at their kitting. You know, are they well dressed? Is their cap good? Do they have whistle? Do they have torchlight if it's in the night? Then they used to carry baton.
Yes.
Do they have baton? You know, you look at their shoes, and you know, there was what you used to call that time in police, this thing, barrack inspection, where, you know, the sergeant major, you know, will just come out every Saturday. They will come and put out their shoes, put out their kits. They will inspect them and make sure that you know, all those things all those are policing cultures that we know. I think we have to go back to, because sometimes it could be embarrassing if you run into a ragtag policeman, you know, at the roadblock. The first thing that comes to your mind is that you look at them with disdain. So who are these? Are they thugs or they are law enforcement officers? You know, so they are kitting too. It's also the responsibility of the system that they work for. They must be able to kit them and inspect them.
Very important, because that also goes into the image making.
Yeah.
Now, so still around the question of you know, the police people that we see on the streets, you know, there have been quite a number of times when you see a police officer carrying the bag of madam, you know, in the market. You know, why do we have all those kind of things when indeed we say we don't have enough cops? How does those things happen, IGP?
My brother, that is what I told you initially, that, you know, the elites have really messed our policing culture up. They deploy them inappropriately for things that are mundane, you know, things that are domestic, you know. And every time you come and say, oh no, this thing cannot happen, you know, the number of policemen posted to this thing, all these things too, there are protocols. There are people who are entitled to this. Yes, they are documented. They are there. But one way or the other, we've lost it, because the political will has not been there. So if you look at now.
But the political will in this case, that would be the Inspector General of Police or the Commissioner of
supposing
Police.
the Inspector General of Police, decrease it. And, the politicians, they invite him to the house. They say, they'll say, hey, there's too much crime in Nigeria. Hey, come and explain this and that. All those things, they are, they are subtle way of, harassing him too and telling him that, what do you think you are doing? You can't just start, taking our aids, away from us, this and that. But, so, I feel sorry for them too because I have been there. When your party came in that time, they complained about, hey, all these PDP people who have peace, go and remove. Then when we succeeded in removing them, they then said they asked to collect them back. So you see, there must be a directive to say no. We have too many men out there. Let us have. There are some politically exposed persons.
Yes.
Who are naturally who you should give these things to.
The protection.
Retired president, vice president, the CGN.
Right.
There's a list. There's a protocol list. But I think we have in other claims. You see policemen in uniforms hanging around politicians who just go about their duties to go on. No, they don't do that. They don't do that because then if you do that. In their this thing, they will ask you to pay the salary of that policeman, so that
even these days you hear stories of some celebrities, posting it on social media that they pay millions.
Yeah, exactly.
It's out there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So how do we end those things, especially at a time when we have serious insecurity problems?
Well, we just have to see how you can mitigate these things. I was telling somebody the other day, I said, the retired IGs, we had a retreat in Ibadan.
Okay.
And this issue came up. And we're saying policing is at the divisional levels. So if you go to a division today in Nigeria, you find...
a division is what? What's a division?
A division is...
It's under a state.
Yes, when you have a state command, then you have divisions. You have area command office, Right. But policing, repolicing is supposed to be at the divisions. Because that is where the populace, they go to report.
Oh, that's the DPO.
That's the DPO, and that's where they go to report.
Yes.
So let me give you an example now. So if you go, for example, you go to a police station in Ibadan, or something, you have 20 men. Then you have maybe 5 rifle or 7 rifle. Then, in contradistinction, you see one of the political figures.
Yes.
He has about 10 men, following him as escorts. All of them, they have, rifles. You get it. So where the rifle is supposed to be used, it's not there to be used. It's
with the political.
So I think we have to have a rethink about how we deploy our resources.
It requires quite a bit of. As a matter of fact, you see, one of the things that I have also observed, even when since we started this conversation, is that I think we have to, and I think some of the people have mentioned it. We have to have some kind of elite consensus in this country.
Exactly.
In many areas. Where the elites will say, look, this is the minimum. And this kind of thing is part of it.
Exactly.
People see the police around political appointees, some of them that you wonder what for. And they see that there are ungoverned spaces
all over the
where
place,
serious crimes are being, and so it affects, even the perception.
I think we need to have a conversation around that. There must be that consensus, to say no, you don't abuse your police, personnel the way you do in this country. There is really police abuse here.
Yeah. Interesting. Maybe as we begin to round up the discussion, I wanted to talk about state policing. This has been a controversial issue and it's been on for a while. But it seems that, we're coming around some kind of consensus around it. You have a lot of governors from all across the country. Northern governors are demanding it. Southern governors had always asked for it. You are a retired Inspector General of Police. What do you think about state policing?
Well, I am not adverse to it. As I said, policing is local. You know, crime is environmental. So, state police is the way, you know, we should be thinking about. But then, there must be some safeguards put into, you know, how do you allow a governor? Is the governor going to be the appointing officer of the commissioner of police, the deputy commissioner of police? In other areas, I'm sure you are conversant with, you know, the mayors are in America. They are the ones who, you know, they form a...
The mayor, yes. The mayor of New York is the one that appoints the commissioner.
The governor does not have any control over the
police commissioner in charge of the city.
Yes.
Of the city.
So, you know, have you ever seen those people giving directive to commissioners of police to do that? No. It is, you know, he doesn't have time for that. Do you even see policemen standing behind him when he's reading his speech anyway?
Well, we try to discourage some of the police escort from standing behind, but they said that they got orders from the IG's office that they have to stand there.
No, don't mind them. They don't get any order from anywhere. But you know, the truth about
important point, sir.
Yes, the truth about it is that if we are going to have a state police, our political culture, you know, must be such that it can accommodate opposition. Most of our governors, they will not, if they have control over, you know, the commissioner and the police apparatus in their states, some of the opposition members will not be able to campaign anywhere. So, you know, we must put it into, you know, if it's going to happen, which we know with time it will, you know, we have to put it into our law to say that if you abuse your powers as a governor, after your tenure, that immunity that you enjoyed, that gave you those powers, you know, when you have dropped it, you can also be subject to human rights abuses if you are engaged in it. But I would suggest that to have that, we should have a civil society organization, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, the NBA, traditional rulers, NANS, forming like a collegiate system that will appoint, you know, the officials of basically
the commissioner of police.
Yes. So that the powers of that of appointing those things will not be domiciled in this thing. And most importantly, I don't know whether some states can afford to fund, state police. Even 30,000 naira minimum wage. Some of them have refused to pay. Even the autonomy that was given to the local government, they refused to obey it. So you see, there are a lot of firearms. Do you know the cost of buying firearms? So it's something that they have to. It's good, but before it happens, they must put a lot of internal control mechanisms that will halt these guys from abusing, the state police. Yes.
Some of the governors have said that actually they spend more on the security in their states.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, they do. You must give that to them. And they buy vehicles. Some of them, they fuel their vehicles. Like Lagos now. Lagos has spent, and almost setting up the trust fund.
Right, the trust fund. And a lot of states are beginning to
do that. Yes, they do that. And non-state actors like Amoteco and all those things that have cropped up, here and there. They've been very, very supportive of, law enforcement.
Right.
The only area that we just pray that they don't take laws into their hands, because there's a very tiny line
between by the
time they acquire too much power now, it becomes another problem.
So in essence, you support state police, but you think there has to be some some security,
yes.
Try to ensure that the governors
don't abuse it, yes.
Okay. Final question. Now, yes. Some people have come up with the idea, considering, the kidnappings all over the place, kidnappers going to people's estate to arrest a family, as happened recently in Abuja. They suggested that, look, maybe we should allow people to carry arms. What do you think about that?
in countries where such things have been allowed, you can see now that the discussion is, trying to see how they could
take it back.
Because not all of us, can have the presence of mind to keep a firearms. Your temperament may be different from mine. Throughout my policing career, I was always very scared to carry firearms around myself, especially knowing that I have children at home. They can start doing James Bond now, and you go and start having accidental discharge. I don't think it's something we should think about. We shouldn't encourage that. The danger involved now, small and light weapons, they are all over the place.
Yeah.
That is why we have all these issues we're having now. The guns that are out there, how are you going to mop them up? Then you are not saying we should now come again and open a shop where somebody can walk into and pick it up like a toy and pay money for it. We're asking for a very big problem. We should not be. I know it could be frustrating. Going through what we are going through now. There's palpable fear.
Yeah.
Everybody is scared. This and that. But having firearms, is it a panacea to that issue?
Well, people think they can defend themselves.
Sometimes it could be very dangerous. When somebody knows you have firearms, he will want to hurt you so that you will not be able to use that firearm. Don't you know that? Yes. So it's something that we have to be very careful about. And mental health. We have to be very careful. Not all of us that you see on the road. Sometimes when you see some people walking around the road, they'll be smiling and walking around. Hunger and all these things can cause you a lot of discomfort. And you just see when they see you driving your car, you will say, Laolu is part of the elites who have made me what I am. So we should discourage it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Solomon Arase, for a very insightful discussion.
Thank you.
Not only are you one of the more referred former Inspector General of Police, but you have the opportunity now as the chairman of the Police Service Commission to make some of these things happen. And we trust and believe that your being there is going to be helpful based on your experience and based on your patriotism. Thank you so much for joining the conversation on Nigeria's future, and we do appreciate your coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Inside Sources will be back next week with another exciting topic. We will continue to push for the future of this country. We believe that Nigeria is going to be great, and we will not stop until it happens. My name is Laolu Akande. Thank you very much.